beautiful day. Sending you love, sending you good vibes. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in. Shout out to the Gratitude Gang holding me down on Patreon. Everyone contributing like 5, 10, 20 bucks a month is really helping out a lot. So huge thank you to that. Huge thank you to everyone that's been sharing it and screenshotting it on your IG stories. This podcast is literally blowing up. Like everywhere I go, people are like telling me they listen to the podcast, and I know they're telling the truth because they talk about specific things and on specific episodes. So I'm like, damn. Like I went to Smith's in Sugar House, Utah yesterday, and within like 20 minutes of being there, I got recognized by like 5 different people. Just one random car driving down the street, girl riding her bike, and then like 3 people inside the store. And the funny thing is like they'd give me props on the music first, and that's what I'm used to, and that's been happening for a while. But now it's more props on the podcast, and not even props on it, like gratitude for what they're learning and what they're applying. You know, like one of my homies came up to me the other day and said he started taking cold showers. Another cat told me he's on like day 3 of practicing meditation. Another homie said he's been, listening to the podcast and he's been feeling depressed and down, and this podcast has really just given him the reminders he needs every week to switch up his focus. And so he's been going out in nature more and, trying to implement a lot of the things he's learning on the podcast. So it's fucking working. That's why I started a podcast, is to try to share my knowledge and wisdom and help people. And we all have like tons of knowledge and wisdom and things that we can share with each other. It's not like I'm on some high horse like, look at me, I have all this awesome stuff to share with the world. It's like everyone has awesome stuff to share with the world, and I'm glad that I'm sharing my awesome stuff because it's really helping people. So that's a quick gratitude and reminder to go out there and share your stuff and spread your love and share your gifts with the world. The world needs it. I think that was probably like the last episode I talked about. The world needs you. The world needs your gifts, yo. The world needs your unique perspective, your unique talents and gifts, and your unique spirit and personality. Like only you can provide the value that you can provide, Only you can make the art that you make, And so we need to stop comparing ourselves to everyone else. And I could easily not do a podcast because I could be like, well, look at Lewis Howes gets like 1 million plus downloads an episode and I get like 2,000, so why am I even trying? Like, or I could switch up my perspective and be like, 2,000 people listen to every episode. What? That's crazy. So this thing's growing. I'm grateful. I'm growing and flowing, and today I want to talk about transforming energy in motion. Think about the word emotion, energy, and motion. So I've talked about this before, but emotions are beautiful, yo. All emotions, all ranges of emotions. I was just reading in my book, The Abundance Codes, which is a book by Regan, Hillyer, and Juan Pablo Barahona. Regan's from New Zealand, and Juan Pablo is from Costa Rica. And they're wonderful people. They wrote this amazing book. I got it because I started following them from Mindvalley. Really liked their work. Just binge watched their YouTube and their podcast. And then I bought this book. It was the most expensive book I've ever bought. Like I usually listen to stuff for free on YouTube. So like spending $120 on a book was like, what? What are you doing? And it was a scary investment for me, but like now that I've like gone through the book a couple times, like dude, I would pay $10,000 for this book. Like I would sell all my shit to get this book now that I know what I've learned from it. But anyway, it's called The Abundance Codes, and I originally got it like thinking it was gonna help with prosperity and abundance and finances. And it's undoubtedly helped with that, but more importantly, it's helped with my mindset, my emotions, my relationships, and my health. So today I want to talk about emotions. That's a whole section of the book. And I went through the whole book and read it word for word, front to back, twice. And then now I'm going through kind of using it like a tarot deck. Like I open up a random page every day and I basically work on activating one of the codes, whatever code I open up to, because there's 52 abundance codes, which is kind of nice. So you could do like one code a week and do it as a 1-year program. But anyway, I'm like out of breath right now because I was just like running, and like, then I drank a bunch of coffee, and I'm like, just relax, Burnell. Just record a motherfucking podcast. But anyway, I open it up to a random page and activate whatever code just feels right that day, you know. And it's like, all right, I guess this is the code that I needed. And sometimes, like, lately, I keep opening up to the different emotional codes. There's like 6 or 7 different emotional codes, and it's just like software. Thing about software, and I love using like computer analogies because they're easy to understand for most people. Think about if you want to like make beats or do graphic design on your laptop. You have to first know that this software exists. So say I want to do graphic design, I have to know that like Adobe Illustrator or Adobe Photoshop is even a thing. I have to even like become aware of it first. Then I have to download the program, okay? And then that still doesn't do me any good if I just downloaded it and it's sitting on my hard drive. Now I got to install it, okay? Now that it's installed, it still doesn't do me any good until I learn how to use it. So, just like software, you gotta first know about it, then download it, then install it, and then spend time learning to use it, and you can't expect to be good at it. So a lot of times when I'm sharing stuff on the podcast with you, I'm giving you like the download, or I'm making you aware of the download. I'm telling you, hey, there's this thing called meditation or breathwork or, microdosing or cold showers or fasting or any of the stuff that I talk about. I'm just basically making you aware of the software. Then you can go download it by maybe you go like, you try meditation. You try it once, you downloaded it. Maybe you installed it by learning a little bit about it, but it's still going to take you a while. You got to keep practicing before you're going to be good at using that tool. Just like, if I download Adobe Photoshop, I can install it, I can play around with it, and it's like, cool, I still not going to make dope designs yet. I have to take some time to get good at, using Photoshop. So I gotta be studying other people that are good with Photoshop and watching tutorials and trying and failing and messing up and trying again and just keep working at it, and over time I'll get good at it. So with the Abundance Codes book, it's the same thing. And like, I've downloaded all the codes, I've installed all the codes, and now I'm working on like activating all of them. Some of them I'm activating quicker and easier than others, you know what I mean? But the emotional codes, like, holy shit, I'm so grateful for these emotional codes, because it's really what I needed for my next up-leveling on my soul ascension path. I needed to learn how to, because like when I first started learning the law of attraction and manifestation, and your thoughts create your reality, and like your emotions create your reality, and whatever you feel is what you're bringing into existence. All of that is like straight facts. But the downside of that, if you're not careful and if you don't go deeper into it and you just like watch The Secret and watch a little Abraham Hicks and stuff, like, you can get caught up in thinking that you have to be on this high vibe all the time. You have to be in these positive emotional states all the time, or else you're going to be creating this negative reality. And that's true, but the catch is you're not going to feel high vibe emotions all the time. So you know the law of attraction and all this stuff, and you catch yourself thinking negative, but then you beat yourself up. I've talked about this before. There's a way you feel, and then there's a way you feel about the way you feel. So you might be feeling stressed, but then you're angry that you're stressed. Or you might be feeling anger, and then you're frustrated that you're angry. You know what I mean? So there's always like an emotion behind the emotion. And when you're trying to manifest your dream life, you're like scared of feeling any of these negative emotions. Like they come up and you want to like pretend they don't exist, or you want to push them aside or move past them really fast. And it's like, That's how we create shadows. That's how these emotions, like emotions get stored in our cellular memory, and that's how you get chronic pain. And like, you know, if you've had an injury or some type of physical condition that won't go away, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say there's a 99.9% chance that it's some type of stored emotion inside your body that you haven't been able to work through or transform yet. So today I want to talk about transforming energy in motion, transforming emotions. Because it's natural, it's normal, and it's totally cool to feel a wide range of emotions during this human experience. The caveat to that is you do not want to identify as your emotions. You are not your emotions. There's a difference between the emotions and your soul. Emotions are just things you feel. They come and go. Good, bad, whatever. You know, nothing's really good or bad. Everything in the universe is completely neutral. It's only our thinking that makes it so. So if we perceive something as negative, then it's negative. If we perceive something as positive, it's positive. I talk about that a lot when I talk about reframing and NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. I'm actually becoming NLP certified right now. I've been kind of like roguely certified for a while, but now I'm doing like a course on it. And it's all about, you know, choosing to perceive things in empowering ways and choosing to reframe things and rewire like our brains to, you know, help us instead of hurt us all the time. But a lot of cats get on the spiritual law of attraction kind of tip, and then they're like suppressing negative emotions, pretending that they're not feeling them or pretending that it doesn't bother them when it really does deep down. And so then they don't use that emotional power in a positive way. It ends up getting kind of trapped in them, and that's how people end, you know, like if you walk down the street, it's clear that the majority of humans are either overweight or have some type of health condition, and you can just see it, the pain and the stress and the anger. You can see this shit on people's faces, yo. You know, I look at old pictures of myself and I'm like, wow, I can just see more pent up emotion in my being, like, than there is now, because I've been learning these codes and activating these codes on how to transform those emotions. So think of emotions as either fuel or poison. When emotions are transformed, they become powerful fuel. When emotions are ignored or suppressed, or we identify as our emotions, then it becomes toxic. It becomes a poison inside of our body that literally, if you study Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza, I've talked about him a few times on the podcast. He's an amazing author of like Becoming Supernatural and You Are the Placebo and a bunch of other amazing books. He talks about our thoughts can make us sick and our thoughts can heal us. And not just our thoughts, our emotions. Our emotions can make us sick, our emotions can heal us. So what we can do is, rather than trying to never have negative emotions, let's just use these negative emotions or use these perceived negative emotions and use any type of emotions in ways that serve us. So rather than feeling angry and then feeling like, hey, I gotta get rid of this anger. Okay, thanks for showing up, anger. I'm gonna use you as part of my purpose, as part of my soul's mission. Like if I get frustrated or sad or angry, I can use that in a beautiful, positive way. It's like rocket fuel. And I wish I would have known this sooner, because like I used to think I had to get past these negative emotions before I could get back onto a high vibe and carry out my soul's mission and do my creative work and make podcasts and YouTube videos and music and all the things I do. Now I just use that. If I feel anger, sadness, or anything, like I'm like, yes, this is gonna be fuel for me to make a better podcast. This is gonna be fuel for a YouTube video. This is gonna be fuel for a song. And you have to get out there and live life if you want to be creative and make art. You can't just be like there's been some times where like my life was almost like too good, like I wasn't allowing myself to feel negative emotions. I was disconnected from the pain that other people are experiencing, and I wasn't making any dope art. I had nothing to talk about. When I allowed myself to start feeling again and stop suppressing these emotions, I'm like, I like it. It's not like, I don't like feeling angry. I don't like feeling sad. I don't like feeling stressed out. But now that I know I can transform it and use it as rocket fuel, I'm like, okay, let's go. I'm not like I enjoy it or want to call it in, but I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to pretend this anger doesn't exist. I'm just going to use it as part of my purpose. So here's a perfect example. The other day, I think I might have mentioned this on the last episode, but the other day I was out. I got dragged to a bar late at night after this festival I was performing, and I was super tired, and outside I witnessed a bunch of fist fights and drunken debauchery and just bullshit, low vibrations. Haven't been around that stuff in a long time. I've been meditating out in nature and at these spiritual hippie gatherings and peace, love, and positivity and just high vibe people. So I had forgot there's all these drunk people just fucking shit up in the streets every weekend. And they're all fighting each other, breaking bottles. Some cats pulled out some guns, and once the guns pulled out, I was like, yo, I gotta get the fuck out of here. There's all these mass shootings, and it's yo, don't be pulling guns out right now. People are on edge. It's fearful. I don't want to feel unsafe in my own city because some drunk motherfucker has a gun. That's whack. And that's a whole nother side topic. I'm not against firearms. I have a lot of responsible friends that carry firearms, but I don't really see how they benefit our society in any way besides taking down other bad people with firearms, but that's besides the point. I'm not here to have a debate on guns and shit. But it did make me feel unsafe, or I chose to feel unsafe during that moment, and it was just scary. I didn't want to be around it, and it was very low vibe, and I got very upset. I probably spent the next 24 hours and maybe the next 15 hours or so angry and sad, and I was heartbroken. I was all these emotions. I felt heartbroken for the world. I was I'm sick of watching all my people destroy themselves with drugs and alcohol. Alcohol is a drug. It's saying dogs and Rottweilers, but killing themselves with these harmful substances. And I'm not perfect. I got my own bad habits and vices too, just like anyone, and my own struggles and hardships. But I was genuinely heartbroken and just I just want to heal everybody. I want to help everybody. I want to show it. I feel I love everyone more than they love themselves, and I want them to love themselves a fraction as much as I love them. I see so much amazing potential in everyone. I want them to see it in themselves, and it breaks my heart that they don't love themselves, so they're just escaping from a reality they don't like. Because they don't take time to learn to get to know themselves. They don't meditate. They don't work out. They might do some of these things, but there's a lot of these cats that are living such a mediocre existence that they don't like, so they're unfulfilled, and then they're basically numbing themselves with drugs, and they're getting drunk every weekend or when they get off work, and they're just doing these low vibe bad habits, and then they got pent up emotions, so then the anger comes out or the whatever comes out, and it's it was disgusting. I was just heartbroken for humanity. Look at all these bright, beautiful souls that are just living in their lower selves instead of their higher selves, and I was really upset about it. And I felt really critical and judgmental in it, and I didn't want to be on this self-righteous path, and sometimes I've been working through making sure I don't become self-righteous, and because it's I've been up-leveling so much and taking my life to new heights. And I've been growing immensely the last few years, massive growth. And I'm very proud of it. And I love where I'm at, and I love where I'm going. But I gotta be careful to just remember everyone else is on their own journey and their own path, and I can't expect everyone to be growing at the same level or the same rate as me, so. And there's people that are growing way more than me too, so I'm, gotta humble myself and check that, but I'm looking at these people that aren't growing, and I'm just want them to grow so bad, and I gotta remember they're all on their own path. Everything's happening in divine timing. This is all part of their journey. But I was able to feel these negative emotions, and then I realized deep beneath these negative emotions, because I allowed myself to feel it. I was yes, I am angry I am like upset. I'm not gonna just pretend that I'm cool with all my friends drunk driving. Fuck that. I'm not just gonna pretend that I'm cool with a lot of my homies just throwing their lives away. I've had 17 friends die from heroin alone. 17 people that I was fairly close with, some that I was super close with, die from heroin overdoses. And just this last Thanksgiving, I had to save another homie from a heroin overdose, you know? As he was overdosing, I had to fucking break down his door and fucking get him injected with some shit to fucking save his life. And it breaks my heart. And I tried to just ignore all these emotions for a while, and then like this experience happened, and I got all these like emotions were hitting me. I'm just like, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm heartbroken. I want to heal people, I want to help people, and I was feeling really critical and judgmental. But then I was like, oh, energy, transforming energy, emotion, abundance codes. What have I been learning about these emotions? Okay, how can I use these negative seeming emotions as part of my soul's mission? And I realized, holy shit. This low vibe experience was the best thing that's happened to me lately in terms of fueling my creativity and fueling the content that I make. Since then, I've made like 5 YouTube videos, 3 podcast episodes, and 5 or 6 dope songs just within the last couple weeks, because I've been realizing, wow, I can use these emotions to fuel my creativity, and like beneath all that criticism and judgment and whatever and self-righteousness actually was just love. I just love everyone and want to help people. So I'm going to use the fact that I'm kind of upset with people and kind of just, you know, not stoked on the way people are living and treating themselves. I'm going to use that as fuel. I realize the world needs my work more than ever. The world needs my YouTube videos. It needs my music. It needs my perspective. It needs me to be the example and be the change I wish to see. And when I realized that, I was like, fuck yes, I transformed all that stuff that could have been poison. I could have trapped all this anger and resentment and judgment inside of my body. But instead, I felt it. I transformed it. And I'm using it as rocket fuel for my creativity and just all the work I do. And now I'm actually helping more people, uplifting and inspiring more people, and fulfilling my soul's mission in a bigger way, because I experienced some, you know, low vibrations. I just did air quotes, low vibrations, and transformed them into some higher vibrations. So that's basically what I wanted to talk about today, is just feel the emotions and then use them. Don't try to think I gotta be void of all negative emotions before I can do my high vibe work. Just use it, make it part, you know. I'm feeling kind of angry today. Okay. How can anger, you know, and like I wrote this song the other day. I was like all about like sex. I used to basically just sleep with whoever, and like I would have, I don't know, I think I was insecure and didn't love myself enough, so I basically slept with any woman that came my way, and I didn't even really, like, I felt like, you know, it was like boosting my ego, like I'm a man, like, you know, we're taught as men, like we're more manly if the more girls we get, and or the more partners we get, the more lovable we are, and so we're chasing all this validation and shit. And I got kind of mad, like thinking, like, look at all these people that are just doing that, and I felt anger about that. And then instead of feeling those negative emotions and just being mad at people or like upset with the way things are, I just immediately wrote a song about it, and it turned out to be a really dope song, all about how, like, it's, you know, we want the right connections. We don't just want sex, we want connection, we want chemistry. And it's like, yeah, sex is awesome, but have you ever listened to the Burnell Washburn podcast? I don't know, man. It's like an eargasm. But anyway, I felt these kind of negative emotions and judgment come up about that topic, and boom, just turned it into a song, because I'm transforming energy, emotion. And I was so grateful. I was like, if I didn't feel those emotions, I wouldn't have had that song. And it was one of my favorite songs I've written in a while. So I just wanted to come on here today and remind you. I know I've talked about this stuff a little bit before, but you can't just talk about something once. Like, I honestly could do the same 3 episodes over and over and over again, and it would still benefit you in amazing ways. Like, there's YouTube videos I've watched 100 times. Because you think you know something intellectually, but until your life actually reflects that, then you don't really know it. You might know it on an intellectual mind level, but does your heart and spirit really know it? So, repetition is the key. Rhythm and repetition and rhyme are like 3 of the, top ways to memorize and embed something into you. But having a strong emotional experience is going to deeply embed something in you more than anything. We remember heightened emotions. So you might be listening to a podcast and intellectually it's like, yeah, you agree with it all and you think you understand it or understand it fully and you're like, cool. But if you just went through something deeply emotional that was very, 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 very painful, and then you heard a podcast about it, and you associated what you learned with this emotion, you're going to remember that on such a stronger level. So keep listening to podcasts like this, YouTube videos, audiobooks. Keep hanging out with high vibe people. Keep staying consistent with all your good habits. Repetition is the key. Consistency is the key. Like I said, I've listened to, one of my favorite channels is called You Are Creators on YouTube. And there's videos on their channel that I've watched so many times. I can't even tell. And it's like, after the 100th time watching it, I finally feel like now my life reflects that. Because you could listen to all this financial advice, read every financial book, but if your bank account isn't where you want it, then you need to keep reading that shit. Don't make the mistake of thinking you know it all. That's one of the biggest plagues in the world is people think they already understand shit that they don't. And I have a good friend who has a super fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is where you kind of think you already know everything and you can't change, he'll say things like, oh no, I'm not good at meditating, I just can't meditate because my mind's too busy. That's a fixed mindset. A growth mindset would say, oh, I haven't really been able to meditate, I've tried and it hasn't really worked out, but I definitely know I can learn. A growth mindset means you believe you have the ability to grow or improve or get good at something that you're not currently good at, or so many people are walking around with this fixed mindset. And I think I mentioned on the last episode, it's like the white belt mentality. Put on the white belt, stop thinking you got a black belt on, and put on the white belt and be the student. What can you learn? When you're wearing the black belt, walking around like you're the master, you're not learning. And when you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. If you're the dumbest person in the room, you're in the right room, and you need to be in that room more often. If the people you're hanging out with are intimidating you and you look up to them and they seem like they're on a higher level, hang out with them more. Even if they're triggering your insecurities or whatever. I've talked about this before, but I used to skateboard a lot. I wanted to be a professional skateboarder when I was young. When I was hanging out with all the younger neighborhood kids and I was better than them, I was just flexing my ego and feeling cool about myself, but I wasn't progressing. When I started hanging out with some pro skateboarders that were way better than me, I had to suck up my pride and my ego and be willing to be the worst skateboarder in the group when I was used to being the best skateboarder in the group. I used to love going to the skate park and feeling like I was the shit because I was doing the dopest tricks and I felt like everyone was looking at me and my ego was like, yeah, dude, look how awesome I am. But my growth stagnated, and then, these the cats that I was flexing in front of started getting better than me. But when I switched up that mindset, hung out with the better skateboarders, I progressed more in one summer than I did in the previous 4 years. So get around people that are achieving the results that you want. Get around people that kind of intimidate you, that are on a higher level, and you will up level just through osmosis. They will rub off on you. You will learn from them. You will adopt their beliefs. It's just natural. It's like you can't even help it. So go transform that energy emotion. Get around some high vibe people. Use these negative emotions or any emotions as fuel rather than poison. Don't let them get trapped up in you. Another abundance code is one of the parts in the emotional code section talks about dancing with your emotions, literally, put on some music and just dance it out rather than trying to look cool or do the right dance moves. Just emote. I've been obsessed with emoting. It's a type of dancing where you just feel, you just let feelings dictate your body movements. And I've been doing that a lot, and it's been releasing all this stored emotion. I've been shaking out, doing this bioenergetics work and qigong and quantum flow stuff every morning, and a lot of dancing, just shaking these emotions, because I suppressed so many emotions for so many years. When I was a kid, I tried to, I wasn't allowed to feel any negative emotions, or I got yelled at. If I was sad, my parents would be like, "You're an ungrateful piece of shit. You have nothing to be sad about. What the fuck, is wrong with you? You need to get your shit together and stop being sad right now." And it's my mom wasn't like that, but my dad was like that. It's I wasn't allowed to, even if I got hurt. I have this knee injury that I've been healing, and I realized a lot of it was these stored emotions from when I was a little kid, and I fell and hurt my knee really bad. And it didn't look that bad, so my dad was yelling at me, telling me I'm a pussy and I need to man up and handle my pain, and you're never gonna make it in this world if you're just a little pussy like that and you cry over a little, hurting you, smacking your knee. And it's I didn't realize I started bottling up and suppressing emotions at a young age, and now I've been walking around with them for 20 years stored in my body. So I'm shaking them out, I'm dancing them, I'm moving them, I'm making art, I'm making songs, I'm making podcasts, making YouTube videos. All these things are helping me use these emotions in positive ways, because man, I've been through some shit. I've had a super blessed life, but I've also had a traumatic and crazy life in certain aspects, and all of us have. And I'm not comparing my story to anyone else's story. It's just I thought I'm looking back at my childhood, and I'm oh, I lived in a nice, decent neighborhood, and I had 2 parents, and always had food to eat and clothes on my back, so I have nothing to complain about or nothing to be sad about. And then as I started meditating deeper, working with some plant medicine, and just going deeper into the self-discovery and personal growth, I started realizing I have all this youth trauma, even some past life trauma, ancestral trauma, all this stuff that I've just been suppressing. And so I could tell this victim story about how I had all these unfair things happen to me, and my dad did this, and my family was like this to me, and blah blah blah, so that's why I'm not successful or not where I want to be. Or I could be the boss ass alchemist that I am and flip it into a positive and say, yo, the greatest gift the universe ever gave me was those traumas, that oppression, that perceived negativity, those hard emotions. Thank you, universe. Thank you for blessing me. I've been working on gratitude and forgiveness a lot, because those are the 2 most healing forces of gratitude. Love and forgiveness can heal every single disease that's ever existed, and I full-heartedly believe that with every ounce of my entire being. I don't think and there's been lots of studies on this lately, so I can point you guys to some science down the road, and I don't really like to get all scientifical. I just like to speak from the heart. But people like Joe Dispenza are awesome, because they talk about the science side of things. And, as I evolve, I'll probably get more scientific and stuff, but I've never really been all facts and sciencey, like by nature. Like I understand things on an energetic level. And when I just feel something's true, it feels true, it's true. Like I don't need to know the science, but when some people really know, like, hearing the science of like how gratitude actually down regulates it's probably too deep for us to get into right now, but we have these, we have genes that express themselves in different ways depending on our emotions, basically. So your body can down-regulate the Alzheimer's gene, and so you don't get it by feeling forgiveness and gratitude, or it can make it so it's like we all have this choice, you know what I mean? We're not just victims of our genes. We can activate I even wrote this lyric that's activate a whole new expression of these genetic codes, kundalini rising, awaken poetic souls, the other day, and I was just we can activate different expressions of these genetic codes by the emotions that we're feeling. So when we're grateful, we're gonna activate the positive expression. When we're fearful and negative, we're going to activate the negative expression. So it can go either way, or it could be poison or fuel. It can be healing or sickness. So I've been working on forgiveness, and I've been holy shit, I forgive my dad. You guys hear me talk about my dad a lot. Him and I have had had a rocky road. But I love him. I forgive him. And I'm grateful for the universe for that he's played that role as this antagonist in my life that's helped me grow. And I'm just the biggest gift the universe ever gave me was all these negative emotions and all these perceived hardships. Because that's what fuels all my content. If I didn't know what it was like to suffer, if I didn't know what it was like to be sick, if I didn't know what it was like to be lonely, if I didn't know what it felt like to be depressed, if I didn't know what it was like to be broke and homeless, if I didn't know what it was like to not feel loved or not feel seen, or just any of these negative emotions that I've really felt on deep levels, I wouldn't be so inspired to make YouTube, podcasts, music, coaching, literally everything that I do. My entire soul's purpose is all born out of my mess. My mess became my message. My hardships became my art. My oppression became my drive to rise up. Everything that I've gone through just fueled me to help and heal the world, because I'm just I don't want anyone to feel the shit that I felt. And I know you guys are feeling it. And the thing is, you don't have to. We can rise above it together. I got you. We got this together. I'm going to be one of the voices, and I'm not stopping anytime soon. I'm going to do this shit for the rest of my life. I'm going to be one of the voices for change, one of the agents of change in the universe, helping people rise up and use these hardships as blessings, because it's nothing in the universe, like I said earlier, is positive or negative. It's all our thinking that makes it so. And when we start learning NLP and reframing, we can reframe anything as a blessing. I can reframe all the, getting my car repossessed, best thing that ever happened to me, financially. And I've been paying $300 a month for a car that I don't drive, that I haven't seen in 2 years, that I'm still taking the bus and still paying for. Thank you. I've learned so much about finances and up-leveled in so many ways because of that. Thank God I didn't have this perfect angel of a dad who just showered me with love and acceptance. Because where would I be if I got everything I ever wanted and everything was just perfect? I wouldn't be inspired. I wouldn't be helping people. I wouldn't be, your pain becomes your purpose. Your mess becomes your message. Your struggle becomes your story. We just gotta keep transforming any emotion that rises in us. Use it for good. I love you guys. That's all I have to say for you today. I just feel when we all download these codes, install them, begin to activate them and begin to really work with them, we're going to take our lives to just extraordinary levels. We can have, be, and do anything in the universe. We are limitless beings. We are literally part of the same energy that creates the entire universe. We got to stop playing small. We got to rise the fuck up. Let's go. I love you guys. Transform that energy, emotion. Peace and blessings. Have an amazing rest of your day. Have an amazing rest of your week. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't. If you're on YouTube watching this, please leave a comment. More comments help more people see the message. Like it, share it. If you got any value from this episode, copy the link and text it to one person that you think would enjoy it, or post it on your social media. Screenshot this motherfucker and tag me on Instagram at Burnell Washburn. If you have any questions or comments or anything, then you want to get a hold of me, you can hit me up on IG, or you can go to my website, burnellwashburn.com. It's got my direct contact link on there as well. And I'm always here for you. If you need someone to talk to, if you need... I'm not saying I'm going to drop everything I'm doing and reply to everyone right away, because I can't. I'm not everyone's therapist and counselor, but I am here for you. And I do offer one-on-one coaching. I do have online courses that I'm working on. There's a lot of things that I can do to help you along this ascension journey. So make sure if you're feeling my vibe, if you resonate with my personality, make sure to reach out to me. Let me know that you're listening. Let me know what you took away from this episode. And just do one little thing to share it out. If you're really getting some value with this and you want to help me help more people and help yourself, go throw a couple bucks on my Patreon, patreon.com/Burnell Washburn. You can throw as little as $5 a month. You can do it for 1 month, for 2 months, for 6 months, 5 years, whatever you're feeling. I'm extremely grateful. I don't expect it. I just appreciate it. I'll keep making the content regardless, but there is some amazing gifts. If you do choose to support, you can get my 2020 Visionary Workbook, which is an extraordinary... It's a workbook, but it's more like an online course that has a bunch of questions for you to answer and write down and journal, and it'll help you gain massive clarity on what your soul's purpose is and what your vision for your extraordinary life is. So go check that out, patreon.com/Burnell Washburn. And anything you can throw to help. There's some expenses associated with this, and more money just helps me impact more people and keep the things going. So I'm very grateful. I think we're up to like 90-something bucks a month right now, which is so dope. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. Shout out to the Gratitude Gang. Shout out to everyone that's been listening and sharing this. I love you so much. You are beautiful. You are loved. You are appreciated. You are a blessing. Hella people love you. And you look fresh as fuck. Blessings.